well, as said, a similar composition coming out from the side of Giants and similar picks. So what do we think that Reason learned from the last one?
Well, not a lot, apparently. I mean, they did have the ward on the Raptor this time around. But if you just look at the way they play the game in here, it is super weird. They at least pick in the jungle. Not the strongest, but it's okay at this point if you actually build towards your early game, because you're against a Pantheon. You know he's going to be ganking the lanes. He did in the last game. There's a lot of early game pressure. And Zayo here in this game, he goes for Juggernaut as the first item. That is not very good. You have 0 ganking presence now. You're not very strong. You just get some tanky items. This is good for late game and like for the team fights, but you want to build just your Stalker's Blade. Then you go into some Magic Pen boots here, even maybe a Haunting Guise. If you feel like you get a few, or if you do get a few kills early on to really snowball it here, you need to get early Magic Penetration so you can duel the Pantheon or at least counter gank. He didn't. He went full tank instantly. He had no presence in the game at all. Pantheon just took over.
Yeah, I do agree with Deficio here. That Reason, they adapted like half of a step, you know. Yeah. They just needed to get more. If you look at their draft, they had a Janna that works well against the Pantheon, works well against the Jax. Maybe a little troubles like getting to the Azir. But the early parts of their draft were good. We saw the Gnar lane up against Jax, even though he had this horrible start where he actually failed contesting the Raptors and put himself even farther behind. He actually was up in kills there in that lane, and he did well. I could only imagine what would happen if Reason Gaming gets a good draft, doesn't screw it up at the end, gets a good early game, and then starts even, because Takefun as well in mid lane lost his flash level 1 on a silly invade, then got camped, lost 2 deaths to that, and then Reason was just immediately behind, even though later in the game they kept it even for a while. Imagine if they started on even footing, they could have gotten ahead, and I think they did well in a lot of parts, but they always missed that final step to make it work.
There's just so many small mistakes. Again, the invade you just talk about where Ahri has to use flash, she walks in alone, everyone turns around, and she just keeps walking. And obviously, she has to flash away now. 3 members are around her. It's gone. Pantheon, we know he's going to gank. You can even go for level 2 gank now. Just do your red buff, run straight into mid lane, and you can now kill the target here. I want to see more deep wards. I want to see them actually run as a team at level 1. And I want to see them be ready for the Raptor. Now, don't let Jax get it again, because that was just a mess. Kuban came in way too late. Big Raptor has already been picked up by the Jax, so he would get level 2 from the first minion up in the top lane, and Kuban gained nothing from it. He was behind again. He can never abuse that lane as the Gnar if he gets behind from level 1.
And he obviously is supposed to. Talk about the bottom lane some more, where you're talking about small mistakes and small alterations or changes to the play. Jinx did pick up the static shift before finishing the IE. Graves, once again, going for the Ghost Blade and then the IE.
Yeah, so the comp we had from Giants this time here with the Azir pick was a fast push comp where you have the Jax split pushing, and then obviously you have the 4 members running together. You have Jinx and Azir who can take down towers super easy. This is what we talked about in the intro. If you get this second dragon now, 15% damage to the towers, you can just roll over the enemy team. Pretty much what actually happened after the second dragon here. Jinx adapted, didn't go for Infinity Edge, didn't take these fights against the Graves in the mid game, or in the laning phase at least, like we saw beforehand. So I believe he died once in the lane, but that was about it. Then static shift was completed. You could start fast pushing, and it worked out for Giants. Yeah,
I do like what Giants brought to the table here. They had a lot of protection for Jinx. Jinx very immobile, but having Thresh there, having the Azir ultimate, and then just a Pantheon that you can just send in and sacrifice 1 for 1 perhaps, kept the Jinx alive long enough. However, what I didn't like about Giants is they picked up that Baron, they picked up a dragon, and they grouped mid as 5, and they didn't send Jax to split push. With the improved Baron, it is paramount that you like separate your resources. You get at least 2 lanes pushing with those buff creeps, and you will break that tower. If you group as S5, you just open yourself up to get picked up by a flash charm, by anything else coming out of the Reason lineup, and that's what happened. Giants could have ended this game a lot cleaner and a lot quicker, and if they go on to the next round, that might become worrisome for them.
There was a few face checks as well, like where we don't have any deep wards, and suddenly Azir jumps the wall and ends up getting cocooned and dies. And again, some small mistakes from both teams here, but use those minions with the Baron buff. It's almost like another player being added to your team because they are so strong at pushing down these towers.
Absolutely, and Giants getting caught a couple of times, but they piled up all their debts on the support, so when he goes in and he dies, he doesn't give any gold. Crepo, you perfected that strategy.
Yeah, it's actually a Crepo original. It took many years for me to perfect that strategy. But yeah, Rydell was 0 for 0 at one point, and it actually made the score look closer than it is, because if all your deaths are centered on this one target, whereas less gold, he's more prone to just suicide in CC, lock them down, go 1 for 1. So it's obviously, I'm not saying 0 for 0 is good, but it's not as bad as it could have been. But Rydell did his job. You know, he went in, peeled for his AD carry, got him out. There was a beautiful Lantern flash in the mid game. If you guys remember, they were getting pincered, threw down the Lantern, flashed with the travel path, and just saved his AD carry's ass. And that was just a really good play.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
So if you're Reason now, obviously you think that you might have had the better draft 2 times in a row and you might get the better start and you don't. Is it only that better start that will get them ahead in the next game?
No, I mean, obviously, the warding for them has been terrible so far in both the games here. At least build a side stone like 25 minutes into the game. You have to also get that early on to establish the vision control. I want to see an early game jungler. Lee Sin is his main champion. Pick it up here, man. Challenge this Pantheon for the early game. Because you know, if you can get one of your soul lanes ahead, like Giants has been doing now in these games, you can take over at least that area of the map and start applying some pressure.
I'd like Reason to pick a good jungler support combo that can actually leave the lane.
Lee Sin again.
Go for deep vision, exactly. The Lee Sin. And that in itself will leave, if they go for Jinx again on Giants, leave the immobile AD carry alone in bot lane, open, susceptible to roams. As we've been seeing, like they pick a peeling support like Thresh. If you remove that from the lane and you leave that Jinx alone, maybe she can get picked off. At the same time, we need deeper vision. We need more vision in the enemy jungle. We need to spot what Giants is doing before they make the move, and then Reason can react. If they react so late, they'll get picked off over and over again. And if somehow they can deny Frederic early ganks, because every game so far he's picked Pantheon, he's gotten successful early ganks off. If he doesn't get that off, Pantheon falls off incredibly hard, which is why he's not been played at the top level as much, if at all. And I'd like to see Reason just think a little more, ward a little more, play a little more passive, and then just go into the mid game, because that's where Giants has been making mistakes so far.
Yep.
And right now, I mean, you are down 0-2. You want to win this game. You have to get back. I mean, it is double elimination, so they're going to play tomorrow. If they do lose the next game, still have a chance to qualify for the LCS. But now you just have to clear your mind. Like, you need to be able to focus. I looked at Take Fun before. He had not exactly the best game because he was camped so hard early on, and he looks super down. I mean, they need to be able to pick themselves up and actually focus on this game. Just ignore the fact you have lost 2 games. Start from 0-0.
Yeah, absolutely. They have some people in there that have qualified for the LCS in very close series, so maybe they can inspect that in the rest of their teammates and they can come back. We will see. But for now, we will take a short break, and when we're back, it'll be Game 3 between Giants and Reason Gaming.